Welcome back to episode 21 of the Roll the Tape Sports Podcast. I'm Jacksen White alongside
Aidan McNally.
And Jalen McKissick.
And yes, Aidan is back, so welcome back, Aidan.
Off IR.
And off IR, back on the active roster. But today we got a good one coming your way. Episode 21 is among us, and 21 down. Keep on going. But today we're going to be talking about the Final Four in the national championship game in the NCAA tournament. So we're going to be talking about what happened in those games, and then we'll move to the NBA and talk about the NBA playoff preview, which is the feature on this episode. So that is the main point we will be talking about. And then we're going to be talking about some of our favorite players going into the draft. Did teams exceed, meet, or fail expectations? And then the scariest teams heading into the NBA playoffs.
And for another segment, we have, of course, a Start Bench Cut for you guys, NBA edition, since it's playoff time.
And, of course, make sure to follow us at all our socials on Roll the Tape Sports or at Roll the Tape Sports.
And, yeah, so let's just go get right into it and roll the tape. So March Madness happened this past weekend, the Final Four. And, it's kind of what we expected.
Yeah,
to say
that's
the
what I
least.
expected at least.
So we look at it as UConn took on Alabama. And this one, Alabama came in, a high-powered offense. No one could stop him. UConn, obviously the clear-cut favorite, has beaten every team by over 10 in this tournament and the previous one last year. And, UConn did what they did what they were supposed to do all along. They destroyed Alabama 86-72 to advance to the national championship game. I mean, is this what you guys expected?
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly surprised Alabama stuck into that game as long as they did. Mark Sears was going off. He hit 6 for 6 on his first 6 shots. So that was what really geared that offense. And obviously Alabama is a high-powered offense, so they were always going to bring that to the table. But what surprised me about them was their defense, their ability to limit all of the options that UConn has with, Castle, Tristan Newton, Klingon, Caravan, Cam Spencer. Like, really, UConn's a team that all 5 starters are really going to make a difference, and they were limiting that in the first half. The second half is where things just really got out of hand. I think we've seen all tournament long UConn, not even just this tournament, but last tournament as well. UConn is a better team in the second half, so whenever they were starting to pull away, it didn't really surprise me, and I feel like this is just how it was expected for all of us.
Yeah, UConn's just like Thanos. They're inevitable. They're gonna come every time. Whoa, pause. No diddy. But the depth on UConn just time and time again always shows out. They can go to their bench. All 10 of their players can score. They play good defense. They play good team ball. This is perfect team basketball, what you see out of UConn.
It's beautiful.
Perfect team. If you want somebody to get into basketball, you turn on the UConn basketball game, and they'll get into it. I mean, they're just a perfect team. Shout out Dan Hurley.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect team, and they built perfect, and we'll talk about the perfect team in just a second. But now moving along to the bottom of the bracket as Purdue took on the 11 seed NC State. And, of course, Purdue has been taken out of the tournament the last 3 years by seeds 10 or higher, but that did not happen in this one as Purdue won 63-50 versus NC State. Zach Edey, he was too dominant for big man DJ Burns, and Purdue moves on to the national championship game this past weekend. And, everyone came in, and the Burns-Edey matchup was the marquee matchup, and, Edey dominated, to say the least.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. I feel like here's how I kind of viewed this game going into it. I feel like the run and the momentum that NC State had could only carry them so far. This is 1 seed Purdue. We're talking about with a National Player of the Year, Zach Edey, on their team.
With the best player.
Best player in college basketball. NC State wasn't really even supposed to be here with the what happened in the ACC tournament. They took care of business in the ACC tournament, surprised everybody, punched their ticket, made a big run, but to come across a Purdue team that played that well that night, I really don't think it was in the cards for NC State to pull this one out. Now, I will say, I did think NC State could have done it. I'm not saying like, oh, okay, yeah, this is where it ends before it even starts. But I do think DJ Burns was a better matchup for Zach Edey than Duke than Kyle Filipowski with Duke in that Elite Eight matchup. So Zach Edey was just too much for DJ Burns, and the guards around Zach Edey were hitting, and that's what really fueled them to win this game.
Yeah, it was a close game to start the game, and then that second half, the size. First of all, you can see DJ Burns was really getting tired. I don't think he has the stamina to play all the minutes like Zach Edey. Like, what did Zach Edey only sit 30 seconds that game?
He sat 30 seconds the last 3 games combined.
Yeah, and then DJ Burns had to constantly be taken out because you could just tell he would be late up the court on fast breaks. He'd be way up the court on everything, and he also just couldn't stop Edey from overreaching him.
I mean, Edey's 7'4", and he's
7'4", but the thing DJ Burns did do though, he was able to body him.
Well, I mean, I could have told you that. I mean, DJ Burns is a big boy.
He was able to stop him from posting him up, pushing him down deeper into the paint, but he just couldn't stop the hook shot.
Yeah, the baby hook.
So I don't know. DJ Burns, hopefully he has a good career in the NFL. But
I did see that. Hey,
but we'll see.
I definitely would say he has a better chance in the NFL than he does in the NBA.
Oh yeah, he could be a solid lineman. That's some good footwork down there.
I heard the Jets need someone. But going along now to the national championship game, and this was kind of like the matchup we all thought was going to happen. It's like the Lakers and the Celtics in the '86 finals. I mean, it's the matchup that everyone could have predicted. The two best teams taking it out in a national championship game. UConn versus Purdue, and a lot of people said Purdue has a chance. I was one of them that said no one has a chance versus UConn, and I was right. UConn wins 75-60. They win by 15, and they hopped out early and they just never looked back. They never really got up ahead too much. Purdue always kept it between 6, 8, 10, but they just never could close it any closer than that. And UConn just closes it out and wins. Zach Edey has 37 points and 10 rebounds, plays, I would believe, the whole game, and they lose. And you think, well, if Edey has 37 and the team finished with 60, what's going on? And it's as simple as this: Purdue's other players, they didn't step up.
No.
They just were nothing. And a guy I'm really looking at is Fletcher Lawyer, a guy who obviously he's not their best player, but he's a guy who can hit threes when needed and one of their better scorers. He didn't score in this game.
Yeah.
Whenever one of your top 4 players doesn't score in the national championship game, you really probably won't have a good shot to win. He went 0 for 5 in this game, and then you look at it and you scroll down, and Braden Smith, another guy who is, he's the second best player on this team. He's their point guard, and he only has 12 points. Yeah, he has 8 assists, which is a good stat line, don't get me wrong. But in a national championship game, when you need points, you have to score, and he didn't do that. It was the Edey show from start to finish, and Purdue just didn't have anyone else step up. And, whenever you play UConn, you have to play your A game, A-plus game.
Yeah.
And Purdue came out and they played about a B game, and, you're going to lose if you play a B game versus UConn.
Yeah. Before I get to my point, another name that for Purdue that really didn't step up, transfer Lance Jones. Number 55. This was his first year with the team. Transferred from Southern Illinois, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy
3 times.
Yeah, he was a guy who had 17 or 18 points in the Final Four matchup against NC State, and I believe he had 2 points in this one. 5 points in this one. So, another lack of scoring from guys. And I said this all along, and ever since I saw this UConn Purdue matchup, I would say Klingon will cancel out Edey. Now, obviously, Edey's still going to get his. It's not like he's going to hold him to 10 points, 5 rebounds.
I could see that, yeah, but Klingon only had 11 and 5. So let's not act like he stopped Edey. Edey, it was easy for Edey. Second half, Edey struggled a little bit, yeah. But Edey and Klingon, I don't know.
For me,
Klingon's a lottery projected pick, by the way.
As he should be.
Donovan Klingon, he was definitely getting worked by Edey those first 10 minutes of the first half, but after his
defense improved.
Edey started out like 6 for 7. He was hitting a couple, I don't want to say it, but lucky shots over Klingon, but Klingon figured it out through the game as the game goes, and I do want to say this, Klingon was probably one of my biggest, in my opinion, the biggest factor for UConn in this game besides Tristan Newton.
Yeah.
Because Donovan Klingon was a guy who held Zach Edey to not scoring in the second half until I think 10 minutes. left in the game. And then whenever Klingon got subbed out, that's when Edey started going on a tear in the second half. So I think Klingon did his best. He did what he was supposed to do. He stopped Edey when it came down to it. He was really the whole reason UConn built that lead early in the second half because he was getting those stops on Edey. And so back to my point, that being said, if Klingon is going to cancel out Edey, which, obviously he didn't entirely, but he shut him down in some points of that game, it's going to have to rely on everyone around Edey to score, and they didn't do that. If you're playing UConn, who is a top 3 defensive team in the nation, you're going to have all 5 guys on the court playing their A game. But this is the deepest roster in the country that you're playing, and they didn't. They didn't. It's as simple as that. Nobody stepped up. I'd say Braden had a good game. Braden had a good game. He played good. The other 3 players on the court did not step up when it was needed, and I think that's the reason why UConn walked away with this one. And then going on to the defensive end for Purdue, I mean, they're a good defensive team, don't get me wrong, but, and I say this in general, there's no team that's stopping UConn on defense. There's none. You have 5 guys, 3 of them are lottery picks, 2 of them are, maybe declare and go second round. These are 5 NBA guys 5 potential NBA guys that you're playing in a college level game. And, UConn just stepped up. They did what was needed. Dan Hurley made some adjustments at halftime, and UConn wins their back-to-back championship.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, like y'all said, outside of Zach Edey and Braden Smith, no one else on this Purdue team scored over 6 points. Mm-hmm. In a national championship game, that's unacceptable. But UConn, the defensive team that they are, the offensive team that they are, the second half team that they are. I mean, I think at halftime it was only like a 6-point game.
Yeah,
it was 36-30. Yeah.
But UConn has had that the whole tournament. Like I think in the Alabama game, it was less than a 10-point game. Yeah. The game before that it was less than a 10-point game. Like they're just a second half team. I don't know what Dan Hurley does in the locker room at halftime. I don't know if he
gets them going.
I don't know if he just yells at them for 15 straight minutes, throws some tables, throws some chairs. I don't know if he has some type of special water that he gives them in the locker room during halftime or what it is.
Hey, it's Bai. Did you guys see that advertisement?
I did see that.
The secret stuff.
But Dan Hurley is quickly cementing himself as one of the greatest college coaches of all time.
Yeah, I mean 2 championships in 2
back-to-back years.
I mean, and like Jackson said earlier, this dude hasn't lost. This dude hasn't even won a single-digit game.
No. It's all been double.
It's
all been like 12 plus, I believe.
It's unheard of, and we'll never see it again. By the way, so
yeah.
No,
I mean it's utter dominance. Yeah, I mean
utter dominance.
I mean UConn just, I don't think it was ever in doubt.
Yeah, I don't either. UConn they were the golden child from day one when it comes to this season of college basketball. It was destined for them to go back to back, and destiny is unfolded and happened.
As Thanos says.
Moving along now to the NBA playoff preview, our feature on this episode here. And, the NBA playoffs is right around the corner. I believe most teams have 3 or 2 or maybe even 1 game left this season. So, obviously, it's not just 100% playoff time yet, but we basically have an idea of what's going to happen. So we're going to be basically talking about the 5 teams that won't be in the play-in, and then we'll talk about the play-in games. Well, the 6 teams won't be in the play-in, and then we'll talk about the play-in games as well, what could happen, and what our predictions and everything are going to be happening as we prepare for the playoffs. Of course, next week we'll know the matchups, or so. We'll have more of a general idea, so then we'll talk about it more. So this is basically a part 1 of 2 of the NBA playoff preview. But let's get right into it and start in the Eastern Conference. And let's start at the top. I mean, your number 1 seed, Boston Celtics, they're the favorite to win it all right now, I'd say. They're 62-17. They've clinched the first seed. I mean, they're the clear-cut favorites, I'd have to say, in the East.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think here's what I've been saying ever since, the trade deadline. I don't think there's a single team in the whole league that beats Boston in a 7-game series as of right now.
So then after Boston, you kind of have just kind of a lot of teams in the middle. So you have the Bucks right now who are sitting at the 2 seed. They are 48-31. And then you go all the way down to the 8 seed with the Miami Heat, and they are 44-35.
Yeah.
That is a that's a big gap. It's a 7-team gap of teams that all have between 44 and 48 wins. Those teams include the New York Knicks, Orlando Magic, Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers, and Philadelphia 76ers, in that order from the Bucks to the Heat. So as 3 games go, I mean, there's a lot that can change in the Eastern Conference.
For sure.
I mean, you can look at it, and I'm pretty sure. I think Milwaukee. I think the only teams that can get the 2 right now is New York, possibly.
It's New York and Orlando.
So number 2 is done for Cleveland and Indiana, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
I'll actually, I think the Bucks have 3 games left. I think if they lose all 3, and
Yeah,
if
Milwaukee
they lose
does
all
have
3, the Pacers are out of it. Pacers are out of the 2 seed because they have 34 losses. So I don't think. Do we have the tie?
over
the
Bucks?
Pacers do have the
Do we have the
tiebreaker. over the
tiebreaker.
Bucks.
Never
The
mind. The
Bucks-
Pacers are in it then.
The Bucks would have to lose out, and the Pacers would have to win out.
The Pacers. Okay, so
And that is just for them to jump the Bucks.
2 through 6 is anybody can get the 2 seed. Yes.
And the Pacers can still win the division
Except I don't know. Or yeah, okay, yeah. Pacers can still win the division.
because there's 3 that Central Division. The Pacers, the Cavs, and the Bucks.
Yeah.
All in that division there, right in the middle of the East. And then, but hey, as I'm looking at this, let's talk about Philly. 6 wins in a row.
Philly's a scary team. If I'm
Joel Embiid coming back.
if I'm one of those top 2 seeds, I don't want to see Philly in the first round.
I think Philadelphia at this point is just a 2 seed in
So-
disguise. I mean, they were a 2 seed before Embiid got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, they got good players, but let's look at it now. So this is how I think we're going to do it. To me, I don't think the Bulls or the Hawks are better than any team in the playoffs.
No.
I think your first 8 is what you're going to get in the playoffs.
For sure.
Would
I
you
think
guys-
it stays how it is.
Would you guys agree with that?
I
Yeah.
agree.
I think right now it stays how it is.
Yeah.
I think let's just portray it as that.
Mhm.
I don't see any changes happening. I could maybe see Cleveland and Indiana swapping between 6 and 5, but that's the only movement I can see in my head. I could see maybe New York jumping Milwaukee, possibly, but I don't know. Obviously, Milwaukee now with a Giannis injury, he could be on the shelf for time.
They have a hard schedule coming up too.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that, but right now, as it stands, we're going to play it as it is.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start in the middle with the 4 and the 5. So then you'd have Cleveland versus Orlando. And Orlando, very young team and have a lot of young players. And Cleveland, even though they were on a really hot streak for a lot of the season, they've lost 3 in a row, and they've only won 3 of their last 10. So Cleveland's on a little bit of a losing streak to say the least. So right now, as it stands, you got the 5 and the 4, Cleveland versus Orlando. Who do you have in a 7-game series?
Between the 2, I mean, Cleveland's been on such a downfall recently. I mean, in their last 10, they are 3 and 7. So obviously they're trending downwards. I know Donovan Mitchell, still shaken up after that injury. I just think the star power of Cleveland, it would be too much for a young, unexperienced team in Orlando. In a 7-game series, I would take Cleveland right now. I don't know, what game they would take it in, game 5, game 6, game 7. But just in general, I would have the Cavs taking that series.
I'm going to take the Cavs in 6. I think the offensive firepower that the Cavs have is way better than what the Magic have on offense. Obviously, the Magic are one of the better defensive teams in the league, but I think that inexperience will definitely get them at some point in the series. I think they take a couple, but I'm going to say the more experienced Cavs take it in 6.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Cavs also take it in 6. I'm going to agree with you there, Jalen. Like you said, experience is really key when it comes to the playoffs, and I still think the Magic are a year away or 2. But, man, whenever they are ready, oh, my. You better watch out. Orlando is going to have a squad. But this season, I do think they're a little too early in their window. I'm going to take Cleveland moving on. And now let's go to another middle squad, like in the middle of the East, as the 6-seeded Indiana Pacers would travel to New York to take on the 3-seeded New York Knicks in a 7-game series. And this one is interesting. Jalen, I'll go ahead and let you start.
No bias aside, this is absolutely a non-biased account for what I think is going to happen. No Randall for the Knicks is really crucial for them. Extremely crucial. If Randall was going to play in the series, I'd take the Knicks in 6. But without Randall, they have nobody to guard Pascal Siakam. I think Pascal Siakam has a series against this team, and I think Indiana pulls down 7.
I'm going to kind of I'll kind of go off what you said. I'm going to say Indiana in 6.
I can also see that.
And as much as, and obviously as a Pacer fan, you're like, oh, well, of course he's going to pick his team. And I've done that a few times this year. But looking at this game with Randall going out, I would have to agree there's no one to guard Siakam. Unless OG Anunoby would step up and guard Siakam.
I still don't think OG Anunoby guards Siakam, or at least stops him.
Well, yeah, OG, I would say, has a better chance. He has the best chance on that Knicks team. But if you take OG away from Halliburton, then Halliburton's going to go off.
Yeah.
And I don't think New York has a center who can guard Turner at a consistent rate from beyond the arc.
No, I mean inside.
I think Turner is better than Hartenstein in every variable.
Yeah.
Maybe he might be a little bit of a better offensive rebounder than Turner, and probably a rebounder in a hole, but Turner does everything else better than Hartenstein. And then I think it's just you'll have to look at Halliburton versus Brunson, kind of the conversation of who's the best point guard in the East. That's been the battle this year. And Brunson's probably going to go get your 30. But I think there's one guy who really showed me he can step up when the moment's big. And Halliburton in the in-season tournament this year stepped up to a point where he was talked about as a top 5 player in the league for just a second. But there was a second where he was.
Yeah.
And so I could see Halliburton step up. I'm going to say Indiana in 6. I could even see them winning in 5. I think if the Pacers, if they go to New York and they win Game 1, I think they got the series won. I think Game 1 is very important in New York against the Knicks, because if you snag a game in New York, the series could be yours because it's so hard to win in that atmosphere.
Yeah.
This is such a tough one for me because just due to all the injuries that the Knicks have suffered, it's really hard to gain like a
good grasp on
consistent
what they are.
metric. Yeah, exactly. One thing I do want to note, the Pacers are 2-1 against the Knicks, but I don't think New York had OG Anunoby playing in any of those games.
We didn't have Pascal either. We didn't have Pascal at that point.
Pacers have not had, yeah.
So we didn't have Pascal when we versed the Knicks.
Yeah, that makes sense. With Mitchell Robinson back, I know he's going to be a little bit slower because of his injuries and everything. I'm interested to see how they're going to play their lineup with Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein back. I do believe the Knicks do have the depth considering all their injuries, or I guess the injury to Julius Randle. I do think they have the depth to, step up and put a solid starting 5 together. This is so tough because all right. So this is so tough. I can't decide. If I were to pick one, I'd probably pick the Knicks in 7, just because of experience. I think Jalen Brunson has what it takes to step up in the playoffs, and we haven't seen. And I'm not like degrading Tyrese or any of them or anything, but we haven't seen how Tyrese plays in the playoffs yet. I think OG Anunoby is such a huge factor for this Knicks team. I have no clue why. Even without Randall, whenever OG plays, they win.
Good.
They win. Yeah. So, I mean, he completely turns around the defensive, team that this Knicks team is. And I don't know. I feel like there's just too many, just how weak of a rebounding team Indiana is, going up against, 3 really good rebounders in Mitchell Robinson, Hartenstein, and Josh Hart. It's going to be kind of difficult. It's going to make that a little more challenging. Also, the Knicks have home court advantage in this one. I don't know. I think for right now, just a basis pick, I would pick the Knicks just because of playoff experience, and I feel like they just have the pieces to put a solid lineup together.
Yeah, another thing to mention just before we go to the next team, Pacers are going to be out Benedict Mathurin in this series for the whole thing. So he's done for the year. So that's a 18 to 20 point per game scorer for them. They're going to be missing off their bench.
Yeah. But I guess the Pacers did have Mathurin in some of these games that they played the Knicks too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mathurin actually had a
showed
really
out
good
when
game.
we played.
And one time he played against
in
them.
Madison Square. He did show out once.
Yeah, so
that'll be a fun series actually.
It'll be a great series. That game will come down. I think it will come down to 6.
And I think Pacers Knicks is always going to be a kind of a marquee matchup anyway because of the Reggie Miller days and Spike Lee and all that.
Start giving Spike Lee flashbacks.
Right. Tyrese
PTSD.
start doing the choke thing. That'd be insane. But let's move along now to the 2-seeded Milwaukee Bucks taking on the 7-seeded Philadelphia 76ers. And in this matchup here, it just comes down to one thing, I think. I think the health of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Because if Giannis is not 100%, I don't see any imaginable where the 76ers don't win this series. And, I mean, it's kind of almost story poetic, you could say, because Doc Rivers is now the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, and he coached the 76ers last season.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it just be funny if his former team just took him out of the playoffs?
Swept.
It'd be pretty hilarious.
Swept would be insane. If the Bucks get swept by the 76ers, you have to give up as a franchise.
Yeah.
That's not the 76ers are bad, but if you're getting swept by Doc Rivers, not Doc Rivers. You have Doc Rivers. That's your problem. But it just, for me, I'm gonna go ahead and say 76ers in 6.
I really like Philadelphia in this one. I feel like the absence of Joel Embiid for such a long period of time gave other players on that team an opportunity to grow. Kelly Oubre, a player I want to highlight here, outstanding whenever Embiid was gone. He was really grew as a player into this scheme. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey is gonna Tyrese Maxey. He's always gonna give you your 20 points, maybe even 30, maybe even 40. I think he actually dropped 50 as well.
A few nights ago. Yeah.
So Embiid being injured, I don't think it really, gives this Philadelphia team a disadvantage. I think it gives him an advantage because, as we saw last night, I believe, Embiid had a Zach Edey type of stat line with 37 and 10. So he is the same player he was before. It's not like he's going to be any rusty or anything like that. And as I said earlier, I do think the Philadelphia 76ers are a 2 or 3 seed in disguise, just because of the Embiid injury. So I like Philadelphia in this series, especially if Giannis is facing that calf strain. I like 6.
Okay. I'm gonna go a little different. I still think that the Bucks have the better team all around than the Philadelphia 76ers. They have the better. Never mind.
I just have one thing. Buddy Hield. I feel like Buddy Hield is gonna go off for like. But he's gonna hit like 7 threes.
Budwood has the potential.
He'll also miss 7 threes in one game.
That's true. Budwood has the potential to absolutely be a knockdown shooter whenever he's hot, and if he can be hot during the series, I can see Philly pulling it out. But I still think. But I can say the same thing about Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley's not no slouch on the 3 either. Neither is Chris Middleton or Bobby Portis. Don't forget when Bobby Portis hit 6 threes.
That was crazy.
So I'm going to take the Bucks. I think they just have the better overall team. They might not have the best player on the court. Embiid's probably a little bit better than Giannis right now. But I think they have the better overall team, and they'll take it out in 7.
Hey, Buddy Hield's shooting 40% from 3 with his time on the Sixers.
Inflated.
Oh, yeah, just wait.
Just wait.
He shot 40% with his first year and a half with the Pacers, too. Just wait. Just wait, Philly. Moving along now to the final game here in the matchup. And, this is an Eastern Conference Finals rematch as the Boston Celtics would take on the Miami Heat. Of course, these matchups with the 7 and, really 2 through 8 can all be interchanged. So take everything we're saying with a grain of salt. It might not happen. Next week, we'll get more in detail about what really is going to happen because we'll know what's going on. But just had to put a little disclaimer in there. But as of right now, Boston would be taking on Miami in an Eastern Conference Finals rematch. And to me, I think it's as simple as this. I think Boston wins in 5. I think Jason Tatum is the best player in this series, and I think Jalen Brown is the second best player in this series. Even though Miami has had Boston's number in past years, Miami's not that team they were last year. And they're not. They're just not the same team, and I don't think they're that good. So I'm going to take the Celtics in 5.
As much as I would like to see Miami, beat the Celtics again, I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Celtics really do have
just imagine if the Celtics lost.
That would be hilarious. First of all, it would be funny to talk to Celtics fans about losing to the number 8 seed again. But I think the Celtics have a better team than they do last year, obviously, and they're gonna come through. I don't see them losing again to the Heat. I think they'll game plan for Jimmy Butler's playoff performances, and Kristaps Porzingis is really the X factor for this team. If he comes through 100% healthy, shooting threes like he usually does, playing good defense, I can't see a world where Boston doesn't win 5.
Yeah, I mean, Kristaps Porzingis is kind of because he's either going to have like 10 points or 30.
Yeah.
And it's just because he's not even like the main scoring option on that team. I mean, he could probably be a second option on the team, as we saw in Dallas. And he's what on that offense? What, the fifth option, fourth option?
Basically, I have him behind Derek White on the offense.
Yeah, and it's just crazy how good they are. But let's go ahead and move on to the Western Conference, and we'll talk about the top 8 teams as well. Well, that Western Conference is kind of confusing because there's 2 teams that are going to be in the play-in, the Lakers and the Warriors. That, I don't know. Would you put the Lakers and the Warriors over either the Suns, Kings, or Pelicans?
I think the Suns make it. I don't think the Kings do.
I think it goes Suns 7, Lakers 8.
Okay, so you guys want to go ahead as that?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and kick out the Kings and put the Lakers in at 8. So that's our prediction for the play-in games if that happens. Of course, there's a few games left in the season, and, well, the Lakers could just jump the Kings in general and be the 8th seed, but we'll see. So let's just start in the middle like we did last time, as the 4th-seeded Clippers, as of right now, would take on the 5-seeded Dallas Mavericks. And, well, this game kind of has some flashbacks, you could say, to the bubble, this series, I should say, because obviously Luka Doncic destroys the Clippers and sends them packing. But I think it's going to go a little different. The Mavericks are 9-1 in their last 10, by the way. They are balling out. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic are not getting too much media coverage for some reason, but they are balling out on every single night. And the Clippers, obviously, they're a good team with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. As much as I want to pick the Mavericks for how hot they've been, this is win or lose it all for the Clippers. I think if the Clippers lose this year, I think they blow it up.
You think?
So, Paul George is going to be a free agent.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to blow it up if you don't win this year.
I think they already paid Kawhi though, right?
They already extended Kawhi.
They already
extended
accepted
PG.
Kawhi, and I think Paul George.
I think Harden's a free agent too.
He might be. Yeah.
This is either his last year or it's the year after.
Yeah, I don't know, but they have some decisions to make. So this is like their big. This is their chance this season. So knowing that and knowing what a fully healthy Kawhi can do in the playoffs, because we haven't seen a fully healthy Kawhi since Toronto, and he's played almost every game this season besides a few. I'm going to say the Clippers in 7. I think this is going to be the best matchup in the first round in the Western Conference playoffs if it happens.
You say Clippers in 7?
Clippers in 7.
I'm going to go the same route. I think as hot as the Dallas Mavericks are, with Luka and Kyrie playing out of their minds, Luka especially being in that MVP conversation, I think it has to be the Clippers here. As hot as Dallas is, the Clippers have suffered some injuries. Russell Westbrook was out for a little bit, which was kind of the fall off, which kind of was really the main reason of why they fell off.
Shout out Russ, by the way. He had his first triple-double in 400 days or something.
And it was 16 points, 15 rebounds, 15 assists. Some crazy.
It's just an average Westbrook stat line whenever he was obviously that's a Washington Westbrook stat line.
Washington Westbrook.
Yeah. But with the absence of Russell Westbrook, obviously he's not the same player he was, but, missing time for Russell Westbrook really, caused this Clippers team to kind of go downhill a little bit. And ever since he has been back, the Clippers are 7-2. So I really like the Clippers in the series, especially with home court advantage. I know there's some type of, what's the word,
What?
Bad blood between Luka.
You were looking like Sketch over there for a second. Special teams, special players.
I know there is some type of bad blood with Luka and the Clippers in the playoffs, but I will take LA in 7.
I'm the lone wolf here. Mavs in 7. I think Luka, he is. I know Dan Bomer is the owner of the Clippers, but Luka Doncic is the co-owner.
You think he does it again?
I think he does it again.
Oh, he said he. Wow, that would be crazy.
I think he's gonna send them packing again.
He's gonna send them packing
just for funsies. Just for the fun of it.
Is this the last playoff series in Staples?
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called now?
So send them packing in Staples. Send them give them the farewell tour in Staples.
Send them back to the Dome.
Send them back
What's it called now?
Intuit Dome.
The Staples Center.
It's crypto.com.
That's terrible.
The crypto arena.
I think Luka has another Luka Magic type performance. 40 points a game, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. I think, and then Kyrie, another guy that can perform in the playoffs. I think he gives you a smooth 23 and 8 per game. I think it's going to be a very good series. But I'm going to say Mavs in 7.
Who's the sleeper for you? Mine in this series is going to be Daniel Gafford. If the Mavericks are going to win this series, I think it's going to be because of Daniel Gafford.
I think it has to be Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. has to show up. He's like the third. He's like the third scorer on this team behind Luka and Kyrie.
Tim Hardaway Jr. has been a 79 since like 2K15.
When Tim Hardaway Jr. I swear, when Tim Hardaway Jr. has at least like 15 plus points, they win. But if he doesn't, they lose. Like he has to show up.
What's the average? Like 12.
Probably like 12.
Man, he's been in the league forever.
He has been in the league for a minute.
But moving along now, as it stands right now, the Pelicans would be the 6, and the Thunder would be the 3 seed. So this one is an interesting. By the way, the West, they have 4 50-win teams, and the Mavericks could technically join them at 5. I don't think we're going to see other 50. I think we're going to only have 5. But I think the Mavericks get there with 49 wins right now. But moving along, Thunder versus Pelicans. And this is really, really interesting because the West is so loaded. And the Pelicans, don't get me wrong, a very good team. Brandon Ingram can go get you 30 almost any given night. Zion Williamson has been healthy and losing weight and jumping out of the gym and being old Zion again. C.J. McCollum, a vet, been to multiple Western Conference Finals. And then you look at the Thunder, very young. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander looking to be possibly looking to win his first MVP ever in his career. Will he do it? I don't know, but he's definitely up there. And then you have probably second place in Rookie of the Year in Chet Holmgren. And then you have one of the best, most improved players as well on that team. So this one has a lot of stories going in it, but I think just the better team is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And as much as I would like to say that the Pelicans have a little bit of experience with C.J. McCollum and guys like Ingram being in the league for a while, but the Thunder are a very good team. And I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander carries them throughout this series. I do think Zion gives them problems. I don't really think they have a player who can guard Zion. I don't think you put Chet on Zion. I just don't think that works. Chet's too skinny. I think Zion needs him alive. So Zion, I think, is going to be the X factor if New Orleans is going to win it. But I don't think that's going to happen. Give me Thunder in 6.
I'm also going to go with the Thunder in this one. I think the Thunder, for me, I feel like they just have so many scores on their team. I know the Pelicans have a good defense with, Herb Jones, but, outside of Herb Jones, there's really no other, great defensive player on that team. Maybe Trey Murphy occasionally. But I think Shai is definitely, going to be the star like he has been all along. The Thunder are 2-1 against the Pelicans this season. And the one loss that they had to the Pelicans was a lead that they blew. They only lost by 4 points, and in that game, Shai shot 0 for 5 from 3. Obviously, that's unusual. So I do think, they know what it takes to beat the Pelicans team. I do think the Thunder take this one in 6.
I'm also going to say the Thunder in 6. I just don't think that the Timberwolves – not Timberwolves. What am I talking about? I just don't think that the Pelicans can keep up with the Thunder offensively. Obviously, you said Zion's probably going to average probably like 28 to 30 points because the primary defender on him will probably be Lou Dort. Although Lou Dort is a great defender, he doesn't have the immense size that Zion has.
He can't guard Zion.
He can't guard Zion. And then I just don't – but on the other side of things, I just don't think that anybody offensively on the Pelicans can keep up with Shai.
Yeah.
Shai is that guy. He has been all season. He should be the MVP. And Chet's on another level as well. J-Dub, what can I say about J-Dub that hasn't already been said?
He's been phenomenal this
Phenomenal.
season.
He's almost averaging 20 this season.
If J-Dub
like
wasn't
19
this,
something.
if J-Dub wasn't this good, I don't see the Thunder being a top 6 seed. If J-Dub wasn't playing like this all season. So all that just to say Thunder in 6.
Yeah, well, seems like the Thunder are moving on in our bracket. Of course, we'll have an actual bracket where we do actual picks next week whenever we know everything. But this is kind of just predictions and things. So moving along now to the 2-seeded Denver Nuggets, the reigning, defending champions, taking on the 7th-seeded Phoenix Suns. And, well, we saw this matchup last year. And everyone thought, the Suns are going to win. They have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. No. And, well, oh my, the Suns are going to win. They have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. No, give me Nuggets in 5.
I like that.
Yeah, I know earlier whenever, I forget what episode it was, but we were talking about, the ceiling of each team. and I think the Suns' ceiling is the NBA Finals. But I don't think they get there anymore. I think over the past, course month or two, ever since that episode was recorded, they've shown so many signs of fatigue late in the season.
They have fatigue. They have no bench.
No bench.
And they're old and have players who are injury prone.
Yeah, and so for that reason, I'm gonna pick Denver in 5 here. I'll go Denver in 6. Playoff Jokic. I don't think there's a better player in the league better than playoff Jokic.
Hey, playoff Jamal Murray.
Well, playoff Jamal Murray's a different.
He is a different man.
Playoff Jamal Murray. If you look in the Western Conference, there's no team that really beats the Denver Nuggets in a 7-game series. Whenever Jokic and Jamal Murray are in their playoff modes. So especially for this series, I'm gonna go Denver Nuggets in 6.
I'm gonna go Denver in 4. I don't even think it's close.
Ooh, sweet.
I don't think it's close. Denver.
KD doesn't drop 40 a game or something.
He might, but I think Jamal Murray matches that with another 40 piece, and Jokic adds another 20 point
KD will have
triple-double.
his 40, but Jokic will have 30, 20, and 10, and Murray will have whatever. And
Whatever.
The Suns bench will combine for 5 points.
And then the Denver Nuggets bench can combine. I think they're a top 3 to 5 bench in the league as well.
Yeah.
So
it's just that just tells you.
That just tells you all you need to know. So Nuggets in 4. Nuggets in 4.
As much as I like Kevin Durant,
Yeah.
man, what has he won without Stephen Curry?
Not
a bunch of nothing.
But a bunch of nothing. He did go to the finals 1 year. But that's about it.
What, in 2012?
2012.
And got smacked up by LeBron?
By LeBron.
Yeah. Man, Kevin Durant these last few years is really tarnishing his legacy.
Oh, yeah.
His legacy is just being shipped.
He's really just showing that he really can't win. He might be one of the greatest scorers of all time, but he cannot win.
He's Charles Barkley, but got placed on the 96 Bulls.
Charles Barkley on the 96 Bulls might be the greatest team of all time.
I know. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. You have the greatest team record-wise of all time, and then you place a player who is very, very good, but can never get it done and win. Yeah, if you put Barkley on the 96 Bulls, they would three-peat.
Oh, yeah.
And just like you put Durant on the 16 Warriors, they three-peat. Well, did they three-peat? No, they went 2, gap 1.
2 gap 1 because KD got injured.
Yeah.
And then Kawhi. Shout out Kawhi Leonard.
Shout out Kawhi. Thank Lord they lost that game.
Man,
That
3-peat.
series too. But sorry about the tangent. Moving along. Just not a big Kevin Durant fan when it comes to him leaving squads. But moving along now to the 1-seeded T-Wolves taking on, well, as we picked, the Los Angeles Lakers. And, well, this one will probably sell the most tickets because there's a man named LeBron. And there's
possibly his final career matchup.
It could be his last
It
ever
could be. You
playoff
never know.
if he just doesn't make it back. So, it
Or if
could
he
be.
retires.
Or I no way he does not.
Yeah,
play
I don't
this
know.
game.
I don't know.
Hey, Bron, he's declaring, by the way. But
Thanks for the news.
Thanks for the shout
I
out.
didn't say he was getting drafted, but he's declaring. I'm also declaring for the NBA draft. But the T-Wolves versus the Lakers, I think it's as simple as this. As much as I think the Lakers can compete with any team in the league, I haven't seen it from them. I saw a special team in the bubble, not in the bubble, but kind of the bubble, in the Vegas bubble in the in-season tournament this year. I saw a team that I think could beat anyone. And, well, they haven't been that team since. And I just don't think LeBron can play catch-up in this series. I think the T-Wolves come and they win game 1 and 2, and I think we're going to see an Western Conference Finals all again. It's going to be the LeBron catch-up show, and LeBron can't do it anymore at his age. 39, he's not going to be catching up like he used to. I think the X factor in this series is Anthony Davis. I think if Anthony Davis can come in and be a dominant force that he is, I think the Lakers can win in 7. But I think that's their only chance. Give me Wolves in 5.
Wolves in 5.
Wolves in
Wow.
5.
I'm going to go Timberwolves in 6. I think their defense is a little bit too much for the Lakers. Also, it just got announced earlier today that Cat will be returning for this series. So they will have Karl Anthony Towns in this series, which is also, or obviously another game changer.
Who in the Lakers is guarding Towns?
LeBron.
Is he?
Well, I didn't say he was going. Obviously, he's going to match up with him. I'm not saying he's going to stop Cat. I'm just saying that's probably going to be the matchup.
I mean, LeBron, I'd say LeBron could stop Cat anytime he wants. But LeBron's not going to want to try on defense for 48 straight
Unless you
minutes.
just put LeBron on Gobert and just have Towns on. Davis on Cat.
Yeah, but Davis doesn't like to guard the perimeter.
That's true.
That's always been their issue because Davis refuses to play the 5 but doesn't want to guard the perimeter. So it's just
Yeah.
it's hard because you put him at the 4 and then you expect him to guard a guy like a Zion or a Cat, and he doesn't want to. So that's why I say Lakers. T-Wolves and 5, because I don't think there's anyone on the Lakers roster who can guard Towns and Gobert, and
No.
Davis can't guard them both.
I mean, what are you gonna put Jackson Hayes on, on Cat?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the Timberwolves are too deep. They have shooters, obviously. I think everything, just going from an 8 seed last year to the 1 seed this year shows that you're doing something right. Obviously, Gobert and Cat have figured things out in the front court, and I just think their front court is too strong for the Lakers. I don't think Anthony Davis is going to be able to, control the front court all by himself. I think the guys around Anthony Davis too, like D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, they have to get going. I know Austin Reeves had a great playoffs last year. That's really what built the hype around his name. I don't know if I see him doing that again this year. So I just really like the Timberwolves in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Timberwolves in 6-2. Cat being back is really just a big addition because they were winning games without Cat, and now they're getting Cat back, and now you have the offensive firepower of Cat and Anthony Edwards. First of all, nobody on that Lakers team is guarding Anthony Edwards. Who are they gonna put on him? Cam Reddish, Austin Reeves, D'Lo, Gabe Vincent.
Cam Reddish is crazy.
Taurean Prince.
No one's guarding him.
No one's guarding him. I think Anthony Edwards has his best playoff performance, obviously, because he's only been in the playoffs once.
And he's been hot lately.
So as a team, I'm going Lakers. Timberwolves in 6.
Yeah. So moving along now, we are going to skip over our favorite players going into the draft. We have kind of some time in between then and now, and we're kind of short on time. So we're going to cut that out and probably talk about it next week. But now we all have picked a team that exceeded our expectations, met our expectations, and failed our expectations. Jalen, I'm going to go ahead and let you start with the team that exceeded your expectations.
As you should. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Orlando Magic for exceeding expectations. I saw people having the Magic as an 8 seed, maybe a 9, maybe a 10.
The play-in team.
A play-in team. Nobody had them.
Me.
Okay. Other than Jackson.
I had them as a 4 seed. You can go back to episode 1 or whatever we talked about that. I had them as a 5 or 4 seed.
He did have them as a 4 seed. I don't know what he was smoking back then. Even nobody agreed with him.
I had a vision.
Nobody agreed with him, but he had a vision, and now the Orlando Magic are the 4th seed in the East. But they are exceeding expectations. Nobody expected, other than Jackson. Shut up. Nobody expected, other than Jackson, for a young team as young as they are with no experience to come in and beat as many good teams as they have one of the best defenses in the league. Offense is kind of shaky at times, but Paulo makes up for it. Nobody, except for Jackson, expected this team to be here, and that's why I have them exceeding expectations.
Yeah, the team I have exceeding expectations is going to be, biased aside, it's going to be the Indiana Pacers. And while you're going to be like, oh, it's his favorite team, of course he's going to pick them. No one had the Pacers as really being anywhere above the plan. Let's just be honest. Obviously now, since if they had Siakam at the start of the year and we looked at it, they would probably be where they're at. I mean, you'd say that. But prior to the coming into the season, no one expected them to be any more than a play-in team. Of course, they're the 6th seed right now. But, I mean, they could easily win their next 2 games and be the 3 seed. So that's kind of why they're there. Because you look at the 6 seed, and that's not really exceeding expectations if the play-in is kind of where their expectations were. But I would definitely say they've exceeded my expectations for them. I mean, they're on the crisp of 50 wins after being a team that has been at the bottom of the league the past few years. Tyrese Halliburton's played good basketball, even though he struggled of late. Miles Turner's a guy who's averaging 18, 8, and 2, or 1.8. I mean, he's playing well, and Siakam's still an all-star. And there's a little fella on the bench too that we're going to talk about a little later named T.J. McConnell. He's a dog, and he's played pretty good for them as well. So I would say they exceeded expectations. The crazy thing is for the Pacers, they do really good against teams above 500. And they do really bad against teams below 500. And in the playoffs, every team is above 500. So if that has anything to say. But yeah, the Pacers have lost. I believe they've lost to all the teams at the bottom. I think they lost to the Pistons this year. Did they?
No.
They haven't?
No, they haven't.
Well, they lost to the Wizards.
Lost to the Wizards.
They lost to the Hornets.
Yep.
They lost to the Raptors.
Yep.
They lost to the Nets.
Yep. And they lost to the Spurs. Oh, and they lost
And
to the
the Spurs.
Blazers.
All the bottom of the league. I mean, I just named all the teams that don't even have 30 wins besides the Nets, and the Pacers have lost all of them besides the Pistons.
Didn't lose to the Grizzlies though.
Hoo-hoo. Let's go, boys.
Actually, yes, we did. Yes, we did. We did lose to the Grizzlies.
Hey, they got swept by the Trailblazers, by the way.
We did lose to the Grizzlies because that was Jaws' first week back.
Yeah.
So never mind. We did lose to the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I do remember that. They lost by really close. Yeah. But they've lost to a lot of bad teams, and they've beaten a lot of good teams, including beating Milwaukee 4 times. So they also beat Boston twice this season too. I believe, the only team to do that this season.
I think so. We're 2-2 against Boston.
Yeah, they're 500 against Boston, the best team in the league and the next champion. So, hey, Pacers, they've exceeded my expectations.
For me, unbiased.
It's always
but
unbiased.
I'm also gonna pick my favorite team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a team that was 10 seed, the 10 seeded, whatever you want to call it, the 10 seed last year. They win their first play-in game, but obviously don't make it into the playoffs. Now they're the 3 seed, but they're not just the 3 seed. They're 1 game back from the 1 seed. They've actually had the 1 seed majority of the year for the Western Conference. Nobody expected Jalen Williams to improve this much. I believe he's 3rd in most improved player odds. I think people forgot Chet's going to be back. Chet was going to be back this year. People underrate Chet so much. Oh, he's skinny, blah, 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 blah. He's still going to get his points. He's still going to get his rebounds. He's averaging 18 and 9 as a rookie. So crazy from there. Obviously, as I mentioned, J-Dub, he's almost averaging 20. And then they go out in the draft and pick up much-needed backcourt defensive depth in Case and Wallace, a nice 3-and-D addition there. I had them making the playoffs, but as the 3 seed and, obviously having the upside to having the 1 or 2 seed going into the playoffs, I don't think a lot of people had that. So I'm going to go with the Thunder as the team that exceeded expectations for sure.
And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start our next part here. And, well, we all picked a team that met expectations, meaning that they did everything they were supposed to do. They were predicted to be a so-and-so seed, and, well, they did that. And I'm going to start with the Boston Celtics. And, coming into the season, I think they were the favorite to win it all. And they're still the favorite from day one to day, whatever day we're on now in this season. But the Celtics, obviously, they've been dominant all season long. First seed in the East, 62-17 at the recording of this podcast here. I mean, they're 60, not 60, that'd be insane. They're 39-10 in the Eastern Conference, which tells you anything about it. They've only lost 3 games at home, by the way. 3. Just 3 games at home. I have more fingers on my right hand than they lost games at home. If that tells you anything, yeah, the Boston Celtics met expectations.
For me, the Nuggets definitely met my expectations. They were the champions last year, and I expected them to come back in. I did expect them to be the top 1 seed, but they're tied with the 1 seed right now, so I guess it's really the same. But they came in, they kind of started out slow to begin the year. I think they were sitting at 5 or 6 for a lot of the year, but they really turned it on as of late. I still see them as finals favorites out the West, and there's really no reason as to why I could see them as a failure this season. They met my expectations.
For my team that met my expectations, I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I know their record, might not. We probably thought this team was going to have 50 wins with the addition of Damian Lillard over the offseason, but they're still the 2 seed in the East. And one thing you just have to, recognize is that the Eastern Conference obviously isn't, as good as the Western Conference. There's going to be teams that are in the 2 or 3 seed that haven't hit 50 wins yet, but the Bucks being the 2 seed with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously the Celtics were the unanimous number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference going into the year. They're right there at the number 2. So I'm going to say the Bucks met expectations, and you could also make the argument that they exceeded expectations. But for me right now, I think they met.
Yeah, and moving along to our last little segment here in this, and that's going to be the teams that we had that failed our expectations. I'm going to go ahead and start. And you kind of got a little bit of it earlier. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Phoenix Suns as my team that has failed my expectations this season. And as you look at it, the Suns right now sit at the 7th seed. They're 46-33. They've lost 2 games in a row. And, well, just for a team that has Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal, you expect them to be a top 3 seed in their conference. And, well, they just haven't been that this season. They've been injury-prone. They don't have that good of a bench. And just Frank Vogel, I just don't know if he's really that good of a coach anymore. I would say the Suns, to me, should have been a top 2 seed in the West coming into this year. And to me, they failed expectations.
For me, I'm going to go with the team that, could also, you could argue, being a top 2 seed, maybe even the top seed in the West. But no, they're in the play-in right now. That team that I'm talking about is the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a team, we had the greatest offseason of all time. We got Gabriel Vincent, who was crucial to that Miami Heat run in 2022. Oh, we have D'Angelo Russell. Oh, we have Austin Reeves coming back after a great playoff run. Yeah, they're the 9 seed. And I know a lot of that has to do and I know that has to do with a lot of miscommunications and stuff going on early in the season because recently they've been hot. Looks like they've figured it out as of late. But Darvin Ham, the head coach, is also a big reason that they're, failing these expectations. I think there was a clip of LeBron literally drawing up plays or something like that. So Darvin Ham, if he wants to, let alone even make it in the playoffs before, the play-in tournament and everything comes first, he's going to have to step up, which I think he has. But, this is a team that I think in our NBA preview episode, I think all of us had the Lakers at least top 4 or 5.
Yeah,
and they're the 9 right now. And as of right now, if the season ended today, they're in the outside looking in.
For my failed expectations, it's the Golden State Warriors. I didn't expect them to be a top 5 seed, but I definitely expect them to be the 10. Being the 10 seed with Steph Curry, obviously Klay Thompson had a down year, but the team around him is still solid enough. Obviously, they've struggled a little bit. They've had a couple injuries. But I thought Kuminga was going to take a bigger jump this season. He's gotten better, but he hasn't taken the biggest jump that I thought he was. And Steve Kerr, I don't know. He might be starting to get the washed allegations from some people.
Me?
Some people are starting to give him the washed allegations. I just don't know what the Warriors do after the season. I don't know if they trade Klay Thompson. Draymond should go ahead and retire at this point. He's just a certified boxer at this point. And I don't know.
Hey, he's a great glue guy. He's a great glue guy.
Hey, he's a great guy to have. He's like a James Johnson. He's a guy. He needs to be there to protect, the players. Go out there and start fights.
Draymond Green reminds me of me.
What? Go out there just like being an enforcer.
Yeah.
No, Draymond Green right now is if Udonis Haslem last year on the Heat played.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Well, no, let's not just.
No, because Draymond's a great player. Draymond's a great player.
Draymond Green is a future Hall of Famer and a 4-time champ.
But we all saw the clip of Steph Curry crying after Draymond Green got ejected because of like how much he means to this team and how often this happens.
Well, yeah, I would definitely say that he has a temper issue, and that's pretty obvious, especially lately.
Yeah, especially lately.
But,
I don't know what's gone into him lately.
But Draymond Green is still a valid player in this league because his defense. If you watch a Golden State Warriors game where Draymond Green is playing, whenever he is on the floor, he is the reason the offense scores.
Yeah,
I agree.
I know people say Stephen Curry this, Stephen Curry that. And Draymond Green is the reason why Golden State has 4 championships.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's the reason they score on almost every offensive drive because he's either setting an off-ball screen. He's doing something to allow the offense to score.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I know he's pretty underlooked, and obviously I was joking about the Udonis Haslem thing, but he's still a great
Unk.
He's still a great defensive player, obviously a great rebounder. And,
it's like
offensively, he can set some good screens. He knows the scheme. He's been in this scheme for like 10 years.
Set really good screens. He knows where to be in the right spots, and he's a pretty good passer.
On top of that, he has all the leadership.
He hit a corner 3 last night.
He has all the leadership traits
3
too.
points.
I think Draymond actually hit 2 threes last night.
He did hit 2 threes last night. That is right.
He hit one on the wing.
He was dancing.
Yeah.
Oh my God! After he hit the first one wide open in the corner, he started doing like little lights.
We're finally getting a piece of 2016 Draymond back.
Hey,
and he
people forget in Game 7 of that finals what Draymond did.
Bro, yeah, I know. 2016 Game 7, he hit like 5 threes.
I know, he had like 35.
Yeah. 35 out of the team's like 89, something like that.
Never again, though.
Never again. But is that all you had to say?
That's all I had to say.
We kind of went on a tangent.
That's all I had to say. Warriors, you disappoint me.
Yeah, come on, Warriors. Step it up, Steve Kerr. But moving along now to our final segment of the day, as of course it is start, bench, cut. We picked 3 different kind of versions of players to put in this NBA start, bench, cut. And let's start with the first one as a defensive slash role player slash short guard role. Start, bench, cut, TJ McConnell, Alex Caruso, and Jose Alvarado.
I'm starting Alex Caruso. I think he just had the better career, his whole career.
One-time NBA champion.
One-time NBA champion. He really was like the third biggest piece on that Lakers team behind LeBron and AD. After that, I think it's
fourth Kuzma I would put over him. But
I forgot about Kuzma.
Go on.
But anyway, after Alex Caruso's start, I think it has to be bench TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell has been too solid for 9 years.
He's been a dog.
In the league.
This
A
past
dog.
month.
He's been the best bench player in the league the past 2 months. Everybody sees his value, and everybody knows how valuable he is. He just doesn't get the recognition because he's on the Pacers. If he was on the Celtics, oh my god.
Hey, just wait till the playoffs, and he has one of these like 19, 8
Oh,
assists,
my
4
God.
steal games. Whenever
If
they
he was
go
on like
ahead
the Lakers, they treat him like God. He might have a banner. They might hang a banner in his name. And I'm cutting Jose Alvarado. I just don't think he does enough as much as the other guys.
He doesn't move me. His little hide behind the
It's been figured out.
it's been figured out
It's
a
been
little
figured
bit.
out.
People kind of expect it now.
Yeah, it doesn't work
So,
anymore.
yeah.
For me, I'm obviously going to start Alex Caruso. He's been the glorified, perimeter defender his whole career. 6'6", can guard probably 1 through maybe even 4. He's just that good. I'm benching TJ McConnell. As much as I love the Grand Theft Alvarado steals and how entertaining they are to see, Jose Alvarado is really nothing outside of that and maybe hitting a couple threes and playing decent defense. So for that reason, I'm going to bench TJ McConnell and cut Jose Alvarado.
And for me, well, I like to be different. And so I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to start TJ McConnell. And yeah, recency bias is a thing, and I believe in it. Start TJ McConnell. McConnell for the Pacers this season, I mean, he's just been amazing. I think in the last month he's been the best player coming off the bench for any team in the NBA. He's just doing crazy things all night. And it's not like he's a guy who's going to come in and go hit 15 mid-range jump shots and really dominate a game offensively, but just the way he plays, there's just something about him. And the way he just plays defense, he's just your hustle guy. He's the ultimate hustle guy. He's a great teammate. He knocks down the occasional 3 after he stands there for about 5 seconds. Or phenomenal finisher when it comes to going inside. And I'm going to say bench Alex Caruso. Of course, I would say career-wise, he's had a better career than TJ McConnell, being a one-time champ and being one of the better players in the Bulls the past few seasons. But as I said, recency bias is a thing for me right now. So I'm going to say bench Alex Caruso and Jose Alvarado. I mean, obviously he's a good player, but he's just, I don't even think, in the same atmosphere as the McConnells and the Carusos of the world. So I'm going to say cut Jose Alvarado. But now moving along now to our second start bench cut big man edition. So start bench cut Miles Turner, Jared Allen, and Bam Adebayo. I'm going to let Aidan start.
I think for me, in my opinion at least, I think it's a pretty clear start. I think it's clearly starting Bam Adebayo. I think, 20 and 10 this year, great defensive presence. I mean, the way he's, the second option, maybe even the third sometimes, also doing what his playmaking ability as a big man is also pretty cool too, to see averaging 4 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. Great for him there. My bench at least, it's tough. I don't know. This is so hard.
It is pretty hard.
Off of this year, is it this year?
This year.
Okay, off of this year, I'm going to go Jared Allen. 16 points, 10 rebounds this year, 1.1 blocks, 1 steal. I know he doesn't have the three-pointer or even the mid-range shot, but his rebounding, he's obviously, probably a top 5 rebounder in the league, which Miles Turner doesn't have. I think a crucial part to playing the center position is grabbing rebounds, and Miles Turner just doesn't do that. So
That's true.
I'm going to go with start Bam Adebayo, bench Jared Allen, and then cut Miles Turner. Although I do think Miles Turner probably does have the best offensive game out of the 3. Maybe Adebayo, maybe a little bit. You can interchange that.
I'm going to go in a completely different direction. I'm starting Miles Turner. No bias aside, I've been dying on this hill for years that Miles Turner is better than Bam Adebayo at almost every single thing for at least a smooth 3 years now. I've been trying to trying to talk to Heat fans, some of the Heat fans that I know, that Miles Turner is just way better. Because I just believe he is. He's better at offense. He's better at defense. Playmaking, it's up for grabs. Miles Turner's kind of developed a little bit of a bag lately. He's kind of, a little dribble move here and
He
there.
just does some weird dribble moves.
I know,
Just
but
like,
sometimes
how'd he
it
do
works.
What's
that?
crazy is Bam Adebayo shooting higher percent from 3 than Miles Turner this
Because
year.
Miles Turner takes more.
Yeah, I know.
Bam probably averages like 2
He
maybe?
averages 1.
One. So I think Miles Turner, first of all, offensively, he's the best center here. No doubt about it in my mind. Best center here offensively. Defensively, you can kind of put it up for grabs. I still think it's Miles Turner because he's led the league in blocks multiple times in his career. Rebounding, obviously, he sucks, but I think Miles Turner is the best center here. I'm benching Bam. He's the second best center here offensively. He doesn't grab as many rebounds as Jared Allen, but he plays solid offense. He's a mid-range killer. If you see Bam take that little pull-up mid-range, it's going in. Best believe it. And then Jared Allen, I'm cutting Jared Allen. I just don't think that he has as much to his game as much as Miles Turner or Bam.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of go and kind of mix and match what you guys have to say. I'm going to go ahead and start Bam Adebayo. Bam, averaging about 20 and 10 this season. And as much as I would like to say Miles Turner's Bam is better than Bam Adebayo, I think Miles Turner is a better catch-and-shoot player. And I think, Miles Turner probably is, I don't know, they're pretty even in the pick and roll. But just Miles Turner's not that consistent offensively. One night he can go and have 24, and the next night he'll go and have 9. So, it's just kind of what Miles Turner does. He also kind of gets in foul trouble a lot. Of course, Miles Turner, you look at it, he's making almost 2 threes a night. But, yeah, and then also you talk about rebounding for Turner. 13 rebounds one night, and then he has 4 the next.
Yeah.
And the previous night prior to the 13 game, he had 3. So
Yeah.
if that tells you anything, Bam, he's more consistent than Turner. I would say Turner, when he's on, is better than Bam, but Bam's more consistent. He's going to give you almost 20 every night. He's averaging almost 11 rebounds, 4 assists, by the way. Lately, he's been dishing them out. He almost had triple-double.
I think
March
that's
29th.
the thing, too. That's what I mentioned is the playmaking, I feel like, kind of sets them apart.
I don't even think he's in the same atmosphere as Turner in playmaking, Bam.
No.
I would say Bam's way
Well,
way
passing.
Passing-wise,
defensively, I would give it to Turner, but Bam does get steals. He had 3 in his most recent game. So I'm going to go ahead and say start Bam Adebayo because he's just the most consistent player. He's the all-star. Bench Miles Turner. I don't think he gets the respect he deserves. Miles Turner is a top 10 center in this league. When he is on offensively, I would say he's top 5. Offensively, not defensively. Rebounding, he never will do. It's just not his thing.
It's not his nature.
Not his nature. But defensively, he can do that. He's averaging about 2 blocks a game this season. So bench Miles Turner, and then I'm going to say cut Jared Allen. Even though Jared Allen is a good center, he doesn't have any threat when it comes to from behind the arc. Really good rebounder, but if you're sitting in the paint all day long with a big afro, I bet you grab a few boards too. So he's a paint center. He's a guy who's going to get a lot of points off pick and rolls and dunks, lobs, and stuff like that. Also, Jared Allen is 6'9". Didn't know if anyone knew that, but it's kind of crazy.
I just figured that out recently.
He doesn't look 6'9". But yeah, I'm going to say bench and actually cut Jared Allen. But now moving along now to our final starts, bench, cut, and this one's going to be star power, to say the least. Start, bench, cut, Jason Tatum, Kawhi Leonard, and Kevin Durant. Playoff small forwards, start, bench, cut. Aidan, you go first.
Wow. This is probably the 3 closest players you could probably name for a start, bench, cut. I think I'm going to start Kevin Durant. I think his ability to really take over a series is there. Actually, I don't know.
We going off this season or just like in general?
Are we going off this season or
Just going off right now.
Okay, right now.
right now?
Not like history. Of course, Durant's a champion and the others.
Yeah, okay.
Leonard is
Okay, I was
too.
going off history. Okay.
Just go off
right
now.
Right.
That's why I picked McConnell to start.
Okay.
We're going off right now.
Right now. I'm gonna have to go. I as much as I don't like to, or as I don't want to, really, I have to go Tatum, starting here. I think the best player on the best team. That whole metric is really good for him. Obviously, he's averaging almost 30 with 3 other glorified scorers on this team. So, he's doing his part. Second, with the bench, I think I'm gonna go Kawhi, just because of his game, just because of his ability to take over on defense. I think his defense is really levels above anyone else on this list, which is what really sets him apart, as well as being consistent in the mid range and offensively as well. And then I'm benching Durant, or no, cutting Durant.
Ooh,
Nothing against
no one
Durant.
would ever thought in a world Kevin Durant gets cut.
I know. As like you don't really think it happened, but looking at it right now, Kevin Durant is on a team that's the 7 seed, and all these other guys are 1 seed, 4 seed. So the other guys are doing their job. Kevin Durant's just been way too inconsistent this season. So for that reason, I'm starting Tatum, benching Kawhi, and cutting Kevin Durant.
I'm going to start Tatum as well. He is the best player on the best team, like he said. He obviously, he doesn't have to do as much because he is on a star-studded team. But I feel like even if you took a player or two away from that Celtics team, he still dominates each and every night. So Jason Tatum's an easy start. The bench, I'm going to say KD. Obviously, he's not above seeding-wise, above the Clippers. But I still think KD is still like a top 5, top 3 scorer in the league when he's on. And he's usually on. It's usually just the rest of the team that's not on. So I'm going to sit Kevin Durant. I'm going to cut Kawhi. I just don't think he can put up the offensive performances night in, night out like Jason Tatum and Kawhi. And Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant can.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely valid. I'm gonna go and agree with you guys at the start. Jason Tatum, as you guys both said, the best player on the best team.
Yep.
He's averaging 27. He averages also 8 rebounds, more than both these guys. And 8 rebounds is a lot in this league. It's more than Miles Turner. And
Miles Turner
being a
slander.
guy who's around so much talent and being able to put up those statistics, it means a lot. And Jason Tatum offensively, I think, is the best player out of these out of this bunch right now. So I'm going to say start Jason Tatum, and then the bench is hard for me. But right now I'm going to take Kawhi Leonard. I'm going to say bench Kawhi Leonard. Leonard only averaging 23 points per game this season, 4 less than Durant. But what Leonard doesn't have on offense, he gives you plus 10 on defense. Kawhi Leonard's still a phenomenal defender. And in the playoffs, when you need to stop, I don't think there's anyone in the world I want more than Kawhi Leonard guarding someone. I'm going to say bench Kawhi Leonard and then cut Kevin Durant. Even though he's averaging 27, still a phenomenal offensive player. His speed is slower. He's not as fast as he once was. He's not a good defender, and he never really was. He was lengthy, which caused him to be a solid defender, but he's lost the speed that he had to be a great defender. He's still all right, but he's nowhere, I would say, in the realm of Tatum and Leonard. So I'm going to say cut Kevin Durant.
Solid explanation.
Yeah, but well, that's all it is, and that's all we got for episode 21 of the Roll the Tape Sports podcast. Of course, it's been fun, and hey, we celebrate our 100 subs on TikTok.
Yeah, let's
100
go.
sub special.
100 sub special. Hey, so of course, thanks to all the fans subbing over there on TikTok. Of course, daily videos should be coming out every day. Obviously, stuff happens and it doesn't happen, but our goal is to get a video out every single day on Instagram and TikTok. Jalen, we have an Instagram as well. But that's it. As always, thanks for joining us. Episode 22 coming out as always a week following this one. Until next time.
Yes, sir.
Goodbye.
You see you.